Hi, St George's. I am on quiz number 2. I am loving the homeschool history program on Radio 4, but also on a podcast. And this week, it was all about the space race. So it was all about the competition between America and Russia to get into space first. And during the program, Greg Jenner mentioned a woman called Katherine Johnson. And I thought she's a great person to do a little bit more learning about. So my little quiz today is all about Katherine Johnson. So I'm going to tell you some things about her and then have a little 5-question quiz at the end again. So here is Katherine Johnson. She was born in 1918 and she died just this year, 2020. So she was born Katherine Coleman, that was her name before she was married. And she was born in a part of America called White Sulphur Springs, which is in West Virginia. And from her being very young, they could tell that she had really high intelligence and that her skills with numbers were really excellent. So she actually went to high school early. So she was only 10 when she went to high school. And she graduated from the West Virginia State College in 1937 with the highest honours you could get. And then she became a teacher. Now, in 1939, she was selected to be one of the first 3 African-American students to enroll in a graduate program at West Virginia University. She studied maths, or as the Americans call it, maths, but soon left to take care of her family. Now, in 1953, she began to work at the West Area Computing Unit of the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. So that's got an acronym. That's when you shorten it and just do the letters. So NACA. The West Computers, as they were known, were a group of African-American women, and they studied data from tests and provided mathematical computations that were essential to the success of the US space program. The West Computers were segregated from white workers. So this meant that they had to use separate bathrooms and separate dining facilities. I know we've talked a lot about segregation in America and about the civil rights movement, but they were doing fantastic, really hard work for the space race, but they had to still have separate bathrooms and separate places to eat. But that all changed. In 1958, NACA became NASA, or as we know it, NASA. And Katherine was a member of the Space Task Group. So she had to calculate the flight path for the spacecraft that put the first American astronaut in space in 1961. So there's lots of maths involved in that. It's very complicated. And she did all of the maths for that. And the year before that, she'd co-authored a paper with an engineer. So that's when you write your research down, they call it a paper. And it was the first time that a woman in her division received a credit as an author for a research report. So she was doing great things. She was really excellent. And in 1962, John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth. However, before he left the ground, he wanted to make sure that the computer had planned the flight correctly. So he asked Katherine to double check the computer's calculations. So she was smarter than the computer because he wanted her to check what the computer had done. And then she was also part of the team that calculated where and when the rocket would be launched that sent the first 3 men to the moon. Now, Greg Jenner talks about this in his podcast this week. So I wonder if you've listened to that already and you know who the 3 men were that landed on the moon. And that was Apollo 11. That was the name of the mission that the men landed on the moon. And she also worked for the Space Shuttle program. Now, here's Katherine when she was a bit older. She retired from NASA in 1986. And she lived right until February this year. So February 2020 is when she died. And while she was alive, she received lots and lots of awards and honours. Now, I'm sure you all know who's on the picture with her here. In 2015, she received this special medal from President Obama. This is called the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and it's the highest possible achievement an American citizen can get. And she was awarded that in 2015 for all of her work. And then in 2016, NASA named one of their new buildings after her. So here she is in 2016 at the building that was named after her. And also in 2016, there was a book written all about these ladies who had worked for the space program, and also a film. And you might have seen that, or your moms and dads might have seen that film. It's called Hidden Figures. So Katherine Johnson, fabulous woman. We don't know lots about her. We don't always hear about her, but it's great that we're hearing about her now. So here's the quiz. First question. In which year was Katherine born? Wonder if you can remember when she was born. Next question. What initials did NASA have before it became NASA in 1958? Question 3. Which medal did Katherine receive in 2015? Question 4. What did NASA name after Katherine? And question 5. What was the name of the film made about Katherine and her friends? So if you want to think about those questions, you can pause the video now, and then I'm going to show you the answers. So pause it now if you don't want to see the answers just yet. Okay, here are the answers. In which year was she born? 1918. What initials did NASA have before it was NASA? It was NACA. Which medal did Katherine receive in 2015? That was the Presidential Medal of Freedom. What did NASA name after Katherine? Question 4. It was a building. And what was the name of the film made about her and her friends? It was called Hidden Figures. Well done. I wonder if you got 5 out of 5. If you did, then let us know. You can send a message to the school phone. You can pop it on Facebook. Let us know how you did in the quiz. And I will be busy getting another quiz ready. Maybe it will link to the homeschool history quiz again, or maybe it will be about somebody completely different. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you really soon.